Hello, friends. So today I wanted to talk about matching versus sorting type questions that you might create in a GenoPod. With a matching, you're going to have a set of stems or terms, if you'd prefer to call it that, in on the left that you're going to type in, and you're going to put in choices to match them to on the right. In fact, if you come down here, you cannot uncheck choices in random order. They're always going to be mixed up. You can allow the stems to stay in a static order, and then these will be mixed up, or you can allow for your stems or your terms to be mixed up as well as the choices to be mixed up when presented to the student. It really doesn't matter. They're going to have to match them together in order to get them right. And each time they match one, they're going to get 1 point because that's the point by default. And I don't usually change that. I just leave it as 1 point because it's matching. They only have a certain number that they can get incorrect. That being said, if they put the answer to this one here, then this one's going to be wrong. So if they get 1 wrong, they're going to get 2 wrong. But you can put as many as you would like, as many blanks down here as you want, but I highly recommend stopping at around 7 or 8, depending on the length of your definition. The longer the definition, then the less space they're going to have to display it on the screen. And you can actually see what it's going to look like by clicking preview. And you see that those few that I have 5, they fill up the screen pretty good. So I would probably leave it just like that. And you might could put 1 more on here, but it's a good idea to check it and see. Because what's going to happen is whatever the size of your biggest definition is, that's going to be the size of all the other definitions. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Let me take this off. I'm going to take this one out right here completely. And now when we go to preview, see how much smaller these little fields are? Now that they're all one line, it has shrunk. So the bigger definition that you have, the fewer you can use. But with this size, I could actually do 10 definitions. So always click preview and see what it looks like to decide. You might have 10 definitions that you want to use in a module pod, but they're all long definitions. You might decide to make 2 matching questions and put 5 terms in one question and 5 terms in another question. If they're all short, they're all small, then you might could put all 10 in one. So be sure to click preview to see what it's going to display like for your students, because if they have to scroll and scroll and scroll, they're not going to get them right because it's just too much for them to keep track of. Keep it all on one screen. So that's my recommendation, and the only reason I said this is because I have done it before where I've had too many definitions and they've had to scroll and scroll and scroll. Nobody got them all right, even though they knew the answer. It's just that they couldn't keep up with where they put the definition. And it was, especially if they're answering some of these on their phone, it's going to be really hard for them to put them in the right spot. So keep it on one screen and check to see that it's on one screen by clicking preview. All right, let me go back. Now, let me do a new question. If you wanted to do sorting is going to be used for things, events, processes that need to be put in a proper order. So, let's see, put the below events, if I can spell, in the proper order. You just put a very generic definition up here. They don't really have, you can get as specific as you want, but you don't have to use a lot of brain power on that. On these two, very simple, straightforward, match the terms and put them in the right order. That's all you need to do. Unless you want to get more specific, fine. So I would just put the first thing, you have to put it in the correct order, and then the second thing, and then the third thing, and then the fourth thing, and then the fifth thing. And if you have 6 or 7 things, then you would add more. But the other thing to do, let's say 5 was some big long definition again, right? The system wants everything to be equal. So when we go to preview, you can see, unlike in matching, this is just set to the size of the item, the term. And that's because it doesn't have to match to a term. So what the system does when you have to match things, let me go back to that. When you have to match, let's click preview. It's not going to give a term a bigger space to match the definition that has the bigger space, because then that would tell the student, okay, that's the answer to that one. It's going to make them all the same so that they have to actually read it and not just match it up by size. Over here on your sorting, they're individual terms. There's nothing to match it to left or right. So it's going to fit whatever you have typed in here. And the main thing that I want you to think about is just hit preview. Just click preview and see how it looks and make sure it stays on one screen. You can always, let's say you have a series of events that is in, you've got 20 events, break those up. Break those into 7 or 8 or 10 events if you can type them succinctly, and let them put the first part of it in order, and then let them put the second part of it in order. You could even do a third question where you put some of the events from the beginning and some of the events from the second one, and they have to put those in order, you know, so they get it in their head more than once. But it's not going to make everything the same size, so you don't have to worry about that with sorting. Well, what the student will do is they'll see this and they'll have to pick it up and drag it and put it in the right order. Okay, so now it's in the right order, so that should be correct. If I go back to the matching, they have to take these and pick them up and put them in the right spot, and whatever they pick up and set on top of the other, the one they set it on top of goes into their spot, as you can see. So this is actually a collection of objects. This is that one, and those are correct. All right, so that is, they can also just click this little button here on the end and use that. All right, so that is what they see. That is how it comes across. So that's all I have for matching and sorting, and I'll probably do another video later on about fill in the blanks so that you can understand how to use those effectively as well. That's all I have for now. Bye.